Welcome to Create Momentum for Positive Mindset. Today, my guests are the team of IF. So I welcome you, and I'm really thankful to you. You have taken this time to come to my podcast to support me. Really thankful and grateful to you. So I start with Tabassum. How you guys have been? So please give your introduction as well.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Sajad. First of all, thank you for having us here on your podcast. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. Just a little introduction about myself. I am a doctor by profession, and by passion, I've been a performing artist. So last around 4 5 years, I've been into Dubai community, and I've been actively participating majorly into theater. Uh, my own productions was my own production. That's how the film was put under, and if was written by me. The script was concept and script was done by me during the lockdown, during the pandemic timings, and that's how it came to become a product. And 24th January being my birthday, we just kind of decided that that would be a good day to start with my first film of under my own production. So that's how uh, if came into being on the stage.
That's great to know. Abdurrahman, now to you.
Hi, Shazad. Thank you very much for having us here. It's such a pleasure. Just a brief introduction about myself. I have been into banking for almost 14 to 15 years of my life, and theater actually happened to me in the year 2017 when I got introduced by one of a friend to one of the theater communities based in Dubai. So my first introduction was then wherein I directed my first play. And usually they say a lot of people get their calling a little later in life. So that's when theater actually happened to me. Though I have been into on stage on and off for various other events, like I used to host. I started off as a comic, but not that I'm really good at that. But things eventually came into existence as I started doing theater, plays, and I used to do a lot of backstage, which is when filmmaking as such came into my interest. And starting off with Sabu, I mean, I did have a few one or two short films, but then they didn't really roll out as such. But Tabu's production really came into existence. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it, because I really loved the concept that she had written, because it's the concept wherein a lot of people don't want to touch, don't want to because there's a lot of challenge involved into it, because whether you'll be able to do justice to that particular story, that particular concept or not. But I think so that's a really brave step of, first of all, writing that kind of a script, and bringing it to the audience and telling that, hey, you know what, this is what we think and this is what actually exists in the world.
Thank you, Abdurrahman. Amit, now to you.
Hi, Shahzad. Thank you for inviting me on this show. Um, Very quickly about myself, been living in the UAE now for about 18 years. Uh, been doing theater for quite a while now. Uh, right from school, college, and here also I've been an active participant in various regional festivals and the English language festivals as well. So, been fortunate enough to work in some nice productions which did really well. And when the story of If was explained to me, so I remember the first meeting we met in a mall, in a coffee shop, myself with Tabassum and Mohsin Abdul Rahman. And, we discussed the script and the story and, whether I'd be, willing to go with it. And I was like, hell yes. And this, obviously, any of the performing arts mediums, whether it's film or theater, I think it's a great, absolutely wonderful platform for an artist to be able to express themselves. So I was like, okay, when are we doing this? And I was immediately on board.
Yeah, that's great to know because the mental health disorder, or you say depression, is a very common subject nowadays. And I have done one with the I have done the podcast on mental health disorder with a doctor, and one of the ladies she talks about depression and anxiety. It is, as you know, when you get into that phase, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to speak to anybody, you don't want to take out whatever it is in your heart. So you don't want to take out that burden, and you are just moaning and growing. So it is what it is. Mental health and depression, people, 16 million people get affected in the year all over the world. But we could make the world better, or maybe sometime we can give a smile to somebody or give a advice that can make a huge change.
Absolutely.
True that.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So my first question is, go on, carry on, sorry. Did somebody
No,
want to say anything?
yeah, I just wanted to say that obviously the story, it deals with an extremely difficult topic, which is considered taboo, and there are just so many, misunderstandings about this particular issue of mental health. I mean, there are a lot of countries or communities, which feel that it's a oh, mental health, it's a rich man's, or it's a rich, the rich people only consult shrinks, or rich people, it's nothing. I mean, I think a lot of people are in denial of this very real problem which is plaguing so many people worldwide. And this story I feel, puts it across in a very realistic, um, mild way, where for me, the USP is that it shows that it can happen to, the most normal of people. I mean, it can happen to anyone. And just such a, I think it's only now where people have started realizing the importance of mental health and mental well-being. And it's probably something, in the generations before us, uh, no one would talk about it, no one would acknowledge it, no one would, feel, that it even merits any discussion.
True. Right. And just to add a little to that is that I mean, when we talk about mental health, a lot of discussion generally happens around, say, depression and anxiety related disorders. But there is a whole array of other mental disorders and other mental conditions, which is kind of not spoken about for reasons we know for sure. It's also, I mean, as a doctor myself, I have come across so many people who need to seek mental health help for their mental issues. But I mean, like, unfortunately, in a world where we stay, insurances, like simple examples, like simple insurances would not even cover a psychological or psychiatric consultation. And that's something which is like really bizarre, because you give so much importance on physical health, but nobody's talking about mental health, whereas our body is a mix of, I mean, like your physical and your mind. And actually speaking, these days, when we speak of psychosomatic disorders, that's the problem starts in your mind and it exhibits in your body. So if mental disorders are equally considered, and people are at least aware about what could be the different stages or the different views of how when mental disorders can be seen in and around us, it's as simple as that. And the couple that is depicted in the story is also a very general, usual couple, which we will meet every day in your lift, in your building, in your community, in your neighborhood. And you would not know what goes on behind that. And that's what we're trying to just help out, bring it to the audience, just a little bit of our awareness, and just to try and catch these symptoms earlier, and just help out or reach out, because these people tend to alienate themselves very easily, and we don't want that to happen.
Rightly said, because what happens is sometimes when we meet certain people, we wouldn't know what is their state of mind, because sometimes some people, they turn out to be so happy and they laugh with you, they talk to you, but it's very difficult for some people to actually go back and understand what is their mental state of mind. So a lot of people are really ashamed or don't want to talk about it, as I would say, because because of the society sometimes being so judgmental about them, like, because we have this understanding that, okay, he's got money, he's got a good job, but then we tend to think that people with good money, good job, good car, they tend to be happy. But that may not be the reason for them to be happy, because there might be a lot of personal problems that they're dealing into. And we, on the other side, we fail to understand that there are certain problems these people might be facing that can lead them to certain kind of depression. They turn out to be, like Tabu rightly said, it can be anyone, it can be a neighbor, it can be a friend, it can be, God forbid, your parents, your anyone from your family. So the ultimate solution is, what I see to that is to communicate. When you talk about your problems to someone who you can trust, someone who you know can help you out, or if that, I think that's the best way for a person to actually help others understand that what they're going through.
Yeah, of course. I read books sometime when I get a chance. So it is I know you it's Dale Carnegie book. It says how to win friends and influence people. In there,
Mhm.
one thing he says, you have to put yourself in someone else's shoes and realize that what circumstances you are going through. However, the mental health and depression, to according to that, I once upon a time, 10 years ago, I was depressed. I didn't have the money to pay my rent, pay money for food. But however, again, it's the responsibility of the person to tell people if there is a problem or to work on it to get out of the situation.
Mm.
See, we think about the problem for 95% and only 5% solution. So we should do it vice versa. So it should be 5% we should think about problems and 95% for solution. So we get a better results. But it is very easy to said, hard to do, because whenever you are in this situation, it is going to be really, because I was crying that what's going to happen, how my life will change. But then I start working, and slowly but surely in 10 years, I'm completely in a different situation. So it is bad. But again, what it is nowadays, everything, most of the people, or you can say, they say I, they don't say we, what we can do better. Maybe, I'm doing this podcast, maybe a value I'm getting from you or you can get from me. So it's what value I'm adding in your life by doing this podcast. So we should think in this way. But again, every individual is completely different, they think in a different way. So this is my view. So I want to ask you, you are doing a different profession. So how did you guys become passionate about filming?
Okay, I like to start that. Me and Tabu, in fact, we know each other since 2017, 18, when we did our very first play together. And we immediately connected regarding the fact that we had the same kind of passion. We wanted to explore and go beyond certain boundaries, understand theater, learn more out of it. And I was more inclined towards filmmaking because that's something I really love to do. Because as much as I want to be on stage, I love to be behind the camera as well. So Tabu, usually she writes a lot, and we always share our scripts. So she came up to me one day and she's like, you know what, this is something that I've written and I want to put up a play. I read through it and I'm like, this is impressive. This is something that a lot of people don't want to touch. I'm like, why do you want to put it up a play and limit it to a very fewer audience? Why don't you go out and make a film out of it and, give it out to a larger audience? Somehow she bought that idea. Usually she always disagrees to a lot of things, though we have our set of arguments, but then she's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is when we thought about it. We gave it a little time, refined a little bit on the script, worked on the characters a little, and that is how this particular film came into existence. But otherwise, filmmaking is something that has been a lot of interest to me, because when I watch films, I don't really watch it as an audience. Obviously I do enjoy the movie, giving all the due respect to the kind of hard work that has been put into that particular movie in various sectors, like be it direction, acting, lighting, sound, etc. But at the same time, I'm very critical about it, getting to know, in the sense, how this could have been done better. So that is something that I always look at, which is why a lot of people don't agree to certain things that I say. But then everyone, I think, has their own opinion. Every person who wants to make films has a different way of looking at things. And that's how basically the filmmaking usually happens.
Yeah. Uh, yes, like Mohsin, I mean, we call him Mohsin. His name is Abdur Rahman. We've always known him by the name of Mohsin. So Mohsin is like we've worked on a few projects, but on stage earlier to this. And yes, definitely there was an immediate connect. We've always had this notion that whatever we want to do a good product. We want to give out a good product, and we don't want to just do like a mediocre work. Of course, we are in a learning process. We've not reached anywhere where we feel it is still 100%. But yes, we had at least the same or the common vision that we wanted to do work into any medium, be it live on stage, be it by media of short film or something. And like I said, during pandemic, I've gone like really berserk. I've written literally in the 5 months of lockdown when I was in back in India. I've like literally written 5 different scripts. And most of the time, because my mind works more on the stage side, I was like, I had written all the scripts which would be possible to put on stage. And yes, as Mohsin kind of put my thought into making a short film, I had not much of a background in short films. I've worked in 1 or 2 short films which where I've been a part of it. I've not like worked behind the cameras, but Mohsin had some in like kind of in experience, and he was much more confident in taking the project ahead in terms of short filmmaking for the script, and then that kind of gave me confidence as well. So yes, like you said, we've always discussed. We are always very critical about each other's work, also rather because we got each other's back at the same time. We are very critical about each other's work, and we definitely put it across very honest and very rather I would say brutally honestly. Like, okay, this is something I liked about it. This is something I don't like about it. And having said that, because both of us thought that this was the script that we wanted to put as first script for our production, uh, yes, there was no looking back. So the moment we decided that yes, we're doing it, then we had a lot of people in our mind within the community which we've known to put up as the cast, and then the rest of the things are history.
Amit, to you now.
Okay. Okay. Um, I've had a very limited amount of experience as of in filmmaking. I did a couple of short films in college, which was back then. They were also on very difficult topics. One was on drug abuse, and one was on child prostitution. So I had, and then of course, I went to study, and then I came here. So filmmaking is something that's always, as a performer, it's always it holds a lot of intrigue and wonderment for me. And I realized that if I mean, when Mohsin and Tabassum, they offered me the role, I grabbed at it because it was a perfect opportunity to grow myself as an actor, and work in a new medium after so many years, and with such a beautifully honest story which is so relatable.
Of course, it is. So one thing which I want to add, again, I know it's a pure hard work. You guys been working. Your team has been working really harder. But if something, because sometimes what we expect when we make something, it doesn't go according to our plan. So we shouldn't get disappointment. So it's always we should seek for the progress, not perfection. We can't be perfect. So that is the reason I took my channel. I say I'm going to start small, and slowly one day, definitely, I will have my own studio. So I'm going to invite everybody, or I'm going to come in Dubai if I hire a studio and talk there with you, with your team. So seek for progress, not for perfection. I know it's take a lot of efforts for movies. It take a lot of efforts, but however, be happy. If 10 people see it, it still is good. 10 people are there, so that 10 people will make it 100. So that's how the strategy works. In my this is my perception, but somebody else can be completely different. So
And absolutely, yes.
go on, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Like the film is almost 13 minutes long, and any person, a single person who's given, dedicated those 13 minutes to watch this movie, even if it was a single person, we are really thankful for those people because they took out time, they took out their precious. I mean, generally, everybody's busy with their own work, but even that 13 minutes does count for us. It does give us encouragement. It does give us the appreciation of taking it ahead. And yes, it definitely is not a thing that we would be disappointed that why people have not watched it or what. In fact, it's been out for last 6 days and we've had 500 plus views already. So it's it's definitely a good situation or a good sign that the first movie has been successful under this banner. And yes, definitely this paves us our road to keep on doing it further. We've learned through this process itself so much. We did have our own what do you say, we had to reshoot a few parts because we were not like happy with the outcomes or the way it was kind of seen. A few areas we thought we needed to redo, we did that as well. And yes, I agree that perfection can not be something which you can reach on a in a day or so. So we are working towards it, and we're not actually the goal. That's not the goal. It's basically to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and make sure that whatever product you give out is from your heart. So that's what has connected with most of our audiences as well. Everybody, so many people have come back to me and said that they kind of almost teared up and they could just the story hit them really hard. So that's my achievement already. That's my reward already. That okay, I mean, if the product could touch their heart, then the rest of the things do not really matter.
Also, I'd like to add here, Shazad, that apart from us, we did have Joachim, who was the DOP for our project, and we had Maverick, who has done a phenomenal job also on the sound and on the lights and the editing part of it. We had Maria Fernandez, who was an AD to me. In fact, it's commendable that being a first-time AD to someone, this is the first time she had been on a set and understood how actually filmmaking works. The recording of the scene by scene, the tracking of the scenes, and noting down the notes when I tell her to write down something, she has done a phenomenal job. In fact, the entire crew that was behind the camera, when you talk about the DOP Joachim or Maverick, who's done sound, lights, and editing, I mean, there's a lot of hard work that has gone behind that. And shooting the scenes again, shooting the scenes in a different angle, trying to get that impact of that particular scene. It did take a lot of time. A lot of people see what is really on the outer side of the movie, but then what actually goes behind it, the kind of work, the kind of time, because a lot of people who've been working throughout the day, and then the giving that kind of time in from your schedule, leaving your families behind, and giving that 12 hours, 14 hours of a day, you complete just a 13 minutes of a movie. It's really commendable. I would like to thank each and every one of them for giving that kind of time and commitment towards everything.
Of course, Amit, if you want to say anything, few words, please.
Just yeah, I mean, so what Shazad, what you said totally resonates with me. For me, this is absolutely, it's a journey, it's not a destination. So you constantly strive to do good, meaningful work, which hopefully makes a difference in people's lives. And as Robert Frost said, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep.
Yes, definitely. So before we wrap up, I think I have your team has given all the answers which I wanted to ask you question in a go. But before I wrap up, this is a wrap up question I ask generally. It is for everybody. I mean, it's universal. What makes you happy? What drives you? And what you want to achieve in your life? So you can say a few words on that, please.
Tabu, you want to go ahead? Because she's always wants to be the first person. Like, no, I'm the one.
This is so mean. Don't say that. Okay. What makes me happy? My family has been very supportive of whatever I've done and whatever I have achieved till now. Whatever I do, they've never like questioned it. Half of the times they do not even understand, rather, uh, like from where do I get these ideas? They always question me, like, how do you do that? Whatever you do. And so many times even they come up and they ask me, like, are you full-time now into acting, or have you left your medical practice aside or something? So that's not the case, but yes, my family always makes me happy. uh, the lockdown actually was a blessing in disguise for me. I was stuck in India for almost 5 months, and in last 12 years, I think that was the longest time I've spent at a stretch with my family, and just being around them, just being living that whole moment was, which was like kind of again confirms that yes, this is what my people are, and this is what I want to always be around. These are my go-to support system, and that is why I would say rather my family is what makes me happy. Being myself is what makes me happy, and I definitely am a person who's not who comes out as an extrovert, but internally I'm an introvert person. I like my own space, I like my own time. I need my time to be doing stuff which I need to do, especially when it comes to writing. I do a bit of painting, I do a bit of singing, but again, just keeping my creative side, especially for people who come from medical background, and it is a lesser known fact, but people, when we are in medical background, we I mean, we when we talk with patients or we're dealing with so much of pain day in day out, we are kind of asked or trained to block or detach with our emotions, because if I get attached emotionally to the pain or the suffering of my patients, it kind of pulls me out also, and I would rather be biased when I'm treating somebody, and I would always be ending up crying in their sufferings. And that's not something a doctor can be doing when it comes to logical or practical situations. And that's the reason a lot of our emotions are pent up, and we don't know where to vent it out, where to express it out. And acting or performing in different creative media has given me that platform. So definitely this is something which makes me happy. This makes me be myself, show myself, express myself. And that's why, again, my family, being myself, and doing the performing arts that I'm doing right now is what makes me happy. And I think I would continue to do that all my life in whichever form I am. This is almost like my retirement plan, that if or not, I don't know my medical practice if I leave that aside, but performing arts and other kind of creative stuff is not something which I would leave even after retiring. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, for me, Shazad, I've always been more inclined towards something that I love to do, rather than being, like, for example, if I'm into banking, I'm not into banking by choice. It was something that I was programmed as an individual, because the kind of millennial background that we come into, we've always been into things like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer if you're successful. Luckily, Tabu has been one of the person who's been a doctor and she's achieved this kind of dreams. But then, also having said that, passion is something that actually keeps me alive, that really drives me to do something always. The inspiration of writing is something that I have taken from Tabu. I'm not a person who would go out and read. I would ask someone to narrate something for me. But then, for me, this is something that I've lately picked up of writing something that goes through my mind, whatever it might be. I mean, while I'm sleeping, a thought comes into my mind, I would write, or I would just run a picture of how I would do this thing separately, how I would shoot a particular film separately. I sometimes critique my own work and go back and see that how that could have been done better. So the passion is something that really keeps me alive, that makes me want to do something after 5 o'clock. Then once I'm done with my work, I look out for something that I really love to do. It can be in the form of singing, it can be form of writing, or maybe recording an audition clip for myself. However I would want to do it, but that's how I not love to, I wouldn't say kill my time, but that's something that I want to do without keeping count on the hours I spent on that particular work. So looking forward, I don't know how things are going to be, whether I'm going to still be a banker 3 or 4 years down the line, 10 years down the line, I don't know. But filmmaking is something that I really, really want to do and take down to that grave, to my grave with me, along with me. It's something that I really want to go back and say, I'm really proud of the work that I've done in whichever form that may be.
Yes, sir, Amit, to you.
Okay. Uh, okay. What makes me happy? The two things actually. Um, One is, of course, my two children. Once I have a 6-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son. So they are they represent the happy part of my life, which makes me want to be a better person, and it's an amazing feeling. So obviously, my kids. The second part of being happy is in the performing arts space, when you have complete strangers who walk up to you and identify with what you did and tell you what it meant to them. That for me is the biggest, biggest high that can happen for me as an actor. I can give you an example. There's one play I did which was about domestic abuse, and it's a very, I play a very deep, dark character who's, it's a very dark piece. And I was standing with my director after the play. So there was this middle-aged lady who was come. I mean, I didn't know who she was, neither did my director, but she was all teary-eyed, and she came and hugged my director, and she said that this is my story. I just don't know what to say. And she looked very sheepishly at me and she says that you were very good. That, I mean, when she walked away, I looked at my director and she was like, Amit, we've done our job. This is, what art should do. It should make people question, make people, uncomfortable, identify with certain situations. So that makes me extremely happy when that happens, and there's so many mediums, you can do it through dance, you can do it through drama, you can do it through films, you can do it through music. So I would consider all these spaces, sacred as far as, telling stories are concerned. In terms of passion, there's some things I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about theater and plays. I mean, I look at old school, where I really love I love William Shakespeare. I like Arthur Miller. I like Bernard Shaw. And there are a lot of new playwrights who are now coming out in a major way, and that shows are being done over the world. Annie Baker, there's a very talented Bengali writer called Manoj Mitra, and I'm related. I mean, I'm very passionate. If you ask me what my true passion is, yes, it would be very much theater and everything associated with it. I'm not aware with the nuances of filmmaking because I've never tried it myself. But yes, as an actor, I mean, that's my true, that's my passion, that's what makes me happy, makes my heart sing. And it helps me, sort of, it's like my therapy, with all this, nonsense happening around the world, and the world being crippled on its feet, with this pandemic and this virus outbreak. This is the one thing that's kept me going and makes my heart sing.
Thank you. Thank you very much, IF team. I'm really grateful and thankful to you. You have given me your time for this podcast. So as soon as I got your link for the short film, I'll put it there, and I will send Tabassum the link. So really grateful to you. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, Shazad.
Thank you so much, Shazad. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you very
No.
much.
Yes, we're just missing our rest of the team, and I would again like to thank all of them as well. One more time, of course, Mohsin has done that on my behalf already. But yes, Joachim, very hardworking videographer. He's been amazing. When we had to reshoot, he was just ready for it. Mev has done an amazing job of giving the music to the emotions which we really wanted to hit hard, and that's where the story kind of connects to everybody's heart. And Maria, of course, just being Maria herself is lovely. So yes, the whole team actually is present. What I mean, like in the true sense here. But yes, they are being missed. But thank you, Shazad, for giving us this platform and reaching out our story, our humble effort to more and more people. And I hope and pray that this we can continue for further times to come as well. Thank you again.
Thank you for the encouragement, and see you.